Hello my friends, or should I say my fellow Americans. Today is June 1st, 2024. Yesterday, I saw a day that I could never imagine would happen in this nation, in our country. Former President Trump was indicted by a hand-picked jury and a hand-picked corrupt judge that has destroyed my faith and almost nearly everybody's faith in our Constitution, our laws, and our government, which are all being doubted by a majority of all of us. And I'm talking about every person that lives in the United States of America. We are in a dire situation, but we'll get into that a little bit later, that I'm sure you all know. I want to welcome back my good friend and former partner, Nelson Correa.
Thank you.
43 plus years of law enforcement. Nelson, let's talk about the incredible nightmare that you and I and everybody else witnessed yesterday.
I still can't believe it. I still can't believe it. Guilty on 34 counts, felony counts. What they've done is made him a martyr. He's now the biggest well-known president that we've ever had.
You know, you know that I've always been fighting with the government, the local government, particularly the city of Miami. And the city of Miami, every time that I run for any position, like when I ran for mayor, they arrested me falsely, the state attorney threw out all the charges, there was no crime. I ran for commissioner of District 1 in Alabama. I was going to win. I was ahead in the poll. What do? They framed me by getting someone to challenge me to fight to the death in a shootout. I followed state law. I followed the training that you and I received in the police department, and I received in the military. Still, they arrested me. The same day, the state attorney filed a no action on the allegations because I was the victim, and yet my police department, in order to maintain and keep a known criminal, an embezzler, a fraud, a person who's been arrested 7 times, sued by many people, owes millions of dollars to a lot of people. He was thrown out of the Senate of the state of Florida for embezzlement and fraud, and more importantly, real estate fraud. Yet, our government, state of Miami, wants to keep him in office, a known criminal, a known felon, who associates only with known felons, the former commissioner de la Portilla. I call him de la poor shit, because that's all he's ever done in his life. And the reason why they want to keep him there is to get that vote, to embezzle our tax dollars and sell our lands, and so they can make millions of dollars under the table. Now, he has been charged and is facing 30 years in prison for money laundering, extortion, you name it, look it up. Nelson, please, let's tell everyone, or let's remind everyone how we came to this point.
It's just embarrassing, Frank, that we have even gotten to this point. But this is the way it's always been. And we endured it, and we saw it, we witnessed it, and we were victims of it many times when we were policemen in the city of Miami.
And okay, but explain to them why we were targeted.
Because we were successful, and we were a good team.
Yeah, but
we were getting results.
What were we successful in? They, they don't know who it's. They haven't seen what we've done, or just don't know what we accomplished as a team back when law enforcement was really respected.
Well, we were in charge of the call them drunk drivers program,
The DUI.
DUI squad.
And
we analyzed-
before that happened, what was the state of that unit?
It was in shambles. They had ran it to the ground.
Remember when they sued
No
the city?
respect.
Well, they sued the city for making almost 3,000 DUI arrests. They were unlawful. That came out in national news, and they found the city of Miami, a panel of judges, in bad faith. And all those charges had to be thrown out. Remember that?
I remember that.
And that was a catalyst for them to put us in charge so we could save the day, so to speak.
We were put in charge to fail.
That's true.
We were put in that position to fail, and we didn't. We turned it around. We made it a reputable unit. We brought respect back to the City of Miami Police Department and the DUI arrests we were making. We trained a lot of officers correctly how to properly process DUIs, and we were very proud of that because we had a 98% conviction rate.
And despite that, how were, let's say, from the majors up to the chief of police, how did they treat us?
Well, we were treated with a lot of disrespect. They wanted to split us up, but they couldn't because they knew we were successful. But they made it very difficult for us to work and do what we were doing.
Do you remember how, after I got promoted, and they wanted us to continue to do things that we didn't want to do, and I remember this major, Paul Shepard, the biggest racist I've ever met in my life, tried to order me once to manipulate or falsify documentation and training in order to get more officers certified as to the process of taking in custody a person under the influence or suspected under the influence. And I refused because he wanted me to commit various felonies. And and because I didn't follow his unlawful orders, they came down on me that, well, you were there. I couldn't do anything right. Everything was wrong. Even though I did it right, it was wrong. Remember that?
I remember that very clearly.
Let's talk about the time that this other racist bastard tried to, or ordered you to destroy DUI evidence because it was inconvenient for them to store it.
Well, we had the videotapes at that time, and his words to me were...
Who are we talking about?
Talking about Rick Walterman, the
Rick
lieutenant and commander of the traffic unit at the time.
That didn't know anything about traffic units or anything like that, did he?
Oh, he was a certified motorman.
But that's, you get on a motorcycle, and I was too, here's my ring. But they teach you how to ride a motorcycle. They don't teach you how to enforce laws or traffic laws or investigate, manslaughter scenes, fatal
No, that's a different
crashes.
type of course you have to take.
And you and I went through those, didn't we?
I sure did, yes.
Because, that was what our job was. And, we did it to the best and the fullest that we could. Then later on, the state attorney, well, people in the state attorney's office continued to want us to do certain things that we weren't proud of and we really didn't want to do. But when we slowed down or we made a stand, they too, yes, we wanted us removed from the unit to put people that were shady and that had been fired from the police department before to take over our spot.
That was kind of personal in a way because one of them was dating and eventually married an assistant state attorney.
That's true. Who was asked to leave for giving her boyfriend, while she was still married, subpoenas to come to court and make overtime.
Yes.
And when we try to, when the state attorney found out that you have been told to destroy evidence, tell me what happened.
Well, they made an investigation in internal affairs where he was found guilty, and the result of that investigation was that he was verbally counseled.
Verbally counseled. You and I would have gone to jail.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
destruction of evidence is a third-degree felony.
And the same lieutenant went to the president of MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, and said, and talked bad about you and me, and a formal complaint was made. He was found guilty of that too.
Yeah.
And another verbal counseling.
I remember that. I remember that. You know, and I hate to say it, but, you know, back then, the Miami Police Department, the higher echelon, were mostly Anglos. And unfortunately, they defended each other because people with lesser rank or different backgrounds or heritage were fired or suspended without pay.
Right.
For doing minor infractions.
That's correct. But yet he gets the verbal warning
Well,
because he was part of the A-team.
well, part of the, yeah, exactly. But you know what? What goes around comes around, and the law of karma shall prevail. The thing that's sad today is that yesterday, a brave man, a very brave man, took a stand against a corrupt system. I'm not saying a corrupt nation. I'm talking about a corrupt system that is being utilized by a small group of politicians or people with titles to control us. And instead of defending us and serving us, we've turned our hired help, is what I call them, because they are hired by us, cops, state attorneys, judges, anybody that has to work for the government, they've turned them into quasi-militarized Gestapo units. Everybody sees it every day on the news, and the problem is that they talk about a lot about training, but do they really train officers to have more patience, to be more courteous?
No, they don't. That has to be within the person. You don't train that.
But there are guidelines that they have to adhere to keep themselves out of trouble, the agency, and also make sure that
Oh, they
the
send you
people
to
that,
these cultural awareness trainings and things like that, but it doesn't do anything. The racist cops are still going to be racist. No, it doesn't matter what training they go through.
well, you know, even the system, you get somebody off the street, or they come off the street, go to the police academy, within a year, that person is no longer who he was before. Now he's part of the gang, and the gang has certain acceptable unlawful norms that if you don't go by them, you get ostracized. They don't back you up. They're not your friends.
Especially that, they don't back you up when you're in a situation and they say that the car broke down, they take the air out of the tire, they got a flat, and they don't come.
And see, that's horrible, because for two reasons. One, those people are traitors and cowards, and I spit on them, every one of them. Two, it's our money that they're using to belittle,
I know.
insult, harm a police officer that doesn't follow their rules or their silent rules.
Yeah, unwritten rules.
Look at how many cops have been indicted and went to jail because one cop shot somebody unjustly, and then the other one either tries to write a report or plant a gun or a weapon of some sort in order to get away with that terrible bad shooting. Most of them were fatalities.
Yes.
You know, remember the time that, well, we'll get into that in the next show. We'll take a short break right now, and we're going to come back and talk about a historical event that occurred yesterday that everyone is speaking about, but we're going to share more information with you that we can prove, and we shall. God bless you. Again, Frank Michelle, my friend Nelson Correa. We'll see you on the next one. God bless you, and God bless America.